I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have been changed several times since then. Hi guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while, but today I am going to do a brief walkthrough of a brand new tarot deck. It's written by one of my favorite authors. Now, you all know that I love a wonderful guidebook, and Barbara Moore is the author and creator of this new deck, and it is Tarot in Wonderland. Can you see that? It's a new publication put out by Llewellyn. It comes in one of their brand new boxes. They're putting a lot of effort and work into these keepsake boxes. So of course it has the magnetized flap with the checkerboard. I love that. Inside, it's the same design, but we have the Cheshire Cat. It has a string for pulling out the cards easily. And of course it comes with a luscious guidebook with my favorite character on the cover. See how thick that guidebook is? And as you can tell, I started reading through it. Now, when I was growing up, I never read Alice in Wonderland. As a matter of fact, to this day, I still haven't read that book. But I did go see the movie with Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in it. And I fell in love with the whole concept. The whole idea of Alice in Wonderland. And it's kind of ironic because subliminally I must have had a connection or a thought or a feeling or an affinity for it. When I was stationed in Germany, I was a soldier, and even though I was in my BDUs, I still love fashion. And I put together a fashion show, and it was called Through the Looking Glass. So I guess that's where I got that name from. Well, I'm not here to chit-chat. You want to take a look at the cards, and let's get to it. But first, I have to do something. Okay, set the scene. All right, and I also need my glasses. So, typical Llewellyn deck. Can you see that? I love the back of it there. Hold that up. Alice, the clock, or rather the watch. It looks like a periscope, telescope, and the hare, the rabbit. So let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's see. Because I've been working with this deck, it's not in any particular order. So we have a Seven of Pentacles painting the roses. We have the Eight of Pentacles. I'm just going to go through a few of the cards. If you really want a detailed walkthrough, go over to Llewellyn, the Thrifty Witch, or Jennifer Ball of Jennifer Ball Spiritual Garage. They do a walkthrough of each card, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do something a little bit different. So let's see. Oh, we have the caterpillar sitting on, is he sitting on a pumpkin? Okay. And we have the Eight of Cups. Now, Barbara Moore talks about this deck being created in the space where Tarot and the Alice stories, which are Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll, pen name of Charles Dodgson, meet. And in this liminal place, sometimes we see familiar scenes from these well-known stories, and sometimes the beloved characters have stumbled into a new world. The images do remain true to the Rider-Waite-Smith cards and will feel familiar to many readers. And of course, it blends the traditional images with another well-loved work of art, the Alice stories. It gives the cards a fresh feel. So, as I said, the creator of the deck is Barbara Moore, who also did the Steampunk Tarot, the Classic Tarot. She's written so many books, and the artwork is done by Eugene Smith. So I have here exploring themes, and she talks about when she thinks about creating a new deck, one of the aspects that she plays with are the themes, and Tarot itself has themes woven into its structure and images. The Alice stories also have so many themes that have been explored of scholars and enthusiasts since the book's publications, and some of these themes overlap. In the companion book, we explore several of these, but let's just consider two. Growing up and identity. And Barbara goes on to say, growing up, not just from child to adult, but also ongoing emotional, intellectual, and spiritual maturity, is an important theme in both the Tarot and Alice. Through Alice's adventures, she experiences the parody of the adult world. She confronts the often silly and arbitrary rules of society, meets some pretty spectacular egos, and people with bad habits and plenty of rampant injustice. We can find these same themes in the cards like the Justice, Strength, Temperance, and the Devil, as well as the Magician or any of the court cards. Let's see, do I have anything available here? No. Alice has to struggle with surviving in a confusing world, just as we often turn to the cards when our lives feel like a mess. And I think with everything that's going on around us right now, we could use some levity. We can use a bit of laughter. We have a lot of serious things that we have to deal with as a society, but sometimes we have to remember to laugh and have a good time, right? So, identity is one of the most important themes in Alice's Adventures, and at the very beginning of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, after she has fallen down the rabbit hole, she questions her own identity. Dear, dear, how queer everything is today. And yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if I've changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? That's the great puzzle. So, of course, throughout her journey, numerous creatures they try to identify her and put her into a box and have her question herself. Let's see. She's forced to confess to the caterpillar that she doesn't know who she is anymore. The unicorn says she's a fabulous monster. The Cheshire Cat informs her that she is mad, calling her sanity into question. Tweedledum and Tweedledee tell her that she isn't real at all, only a part of the Red King's dream. And when she enters into the wood through the looking glass, she not only forgets her name, but the fact that she is even a human child. So both stories end with her realizing her true power and ability, which come from a strong sense of self and an understanding of one's core values. So I always say, no matter what's going on around you, stand firm in who you are and what you believe in. That will always be your compass. That will always be the light to bring you back to center. As long as you don't waver from that, no matter what goes on around you, no matter what ventures or adventures you undertake, as long as you have a strong hold in your compass and your core values, you will always find your way back home. And home is your sense of self. By the way, I'm really rocking this purple lipstick. Remember on my last video, or one of my previous videos, the Queen of Wands in the Next World Tarot, she's working with purple lipstick. So I decided to channel the Queen of Wands today. Anyway, let's see. While many people find the theory and ideas behind a deck very interesting, Most of us who love to row do so because of the images. Therefore, Barbara has decided to share 3 of her favorite cards, and I'm going to share them with you as well, and her thoughts. I found these cards really, really interesting. My 3 favorite cards, of course, the Magician, see that? The Caterpillar, there. The King of Wands. I haven't quite read the guidebook yet. Is this Alice's father? And, of course, the King of Pentacles, the Mad Hatter himself. But Barbara Moore's 3 favorite cards are, of course, the High Priestess, the 7 of Wands, and the Knight of Cups. With the High Priestess, she says, let's see if I can hold this up while I read for you. If I can get that not to be so glary. There we are. I'm going to lean forward a bit. She says, Alice's nimble mind moves from the mundane, immeasurable rationality of daily life to the mysteries of nature. In doing so, she moves from the separation of self we see in the Magician to the story of unity the High Priestess tells. Alice speaks to her companions, Dinah and Dinah's kittens, and Kitty and Snowdrop, about manners, rules, and the repercussions of breaking those rules, as well as the beauty of the snow falling outside. And then she goes on here to talk about, as she continues musing about the feelings and experiences in the life of the natural world, she moves from the rules and compartmentalization of the rational world, symbolized in the image by the chessboard background, and the chess pieces on the mantle. Oh, yeah. Let's see. You can see them there. The chess pieces. And the background is right there. In the natural world, and she is inspired to explore other worlds. Let's see. And then Barbara goes on to say, I'm going to switch because it's easier this way. There we go. Much like a shamanic journey to the upper world, the mirror over the fireplace separating Alice from the looking glass world turns into a sort of mist, and she finds that it'll be easy enough to get through. The idea of moving from one world to another is highlighted by the pomegranates on the curtain. They also allude to the costs associated with such a journey, something it seems Alice is not really taken into account. Pomegranates not only represent Persephone and her journey to the underworld, but are also, in Christian terms, associated with Jesus' mother, Mary, and represent his sacrifice and rebirth. Or, for many, Jesus is also a shamanic figure. She observes the pictures on the wall next to the fire seem to be alive, and the very clock had the face of a little old man and grinned at her. So Alice finds herself able to interact with the beings in the looking glass world. She can move things, and her actions have consequences. Yet she is invisible, unable to be seen or heard by others in the room. Going through the mirror is just the first step of her initiation in her ability to connect more personally with this new world. It is only through experiencing many trials and tests does she begin to move toward her ideal, authentic self. At least in the beginning, she has a vision a vague idea that there is something more to herself and to the world, and that fuels her curiosity. It is perhaps a good thing that she didn't fully understand the meaning of the pomegranates and the sacrifices that would be required of her. That's the high priestess. Another card that is the favorite of Barbara Moore is the Knight of Cups. And it is said that after Alice's adventures, she would always reflect back on her encounter with this particular Knight of Cups. He says here, the White Knight from Through the Looking Glass is a very apt Knight of Cups in his dreamy idealism. When Alice seems sad, he says, "Let me sing you a song to comfort you." Alice, who had heard a great deal of poetry already, asked if it was long. He replies, "It is long, but it's very, very beautiful. Everybody that hears me sing it, either it brings the tears into their eyes or else." And then he trails off mid-sentence, as a true dreamer of dreams and singer of songs is wont to do. And that's another idea of your Knight of Cups, a dreamer of dreams, always pursuing the dream in spite of everything else, and not being caught up in the time it takes to get to the end of the journey. I think this is about enjoying the journey, all of its joy and sadness as well. Let's see, what else do I have here? I don't want to keep you guys too long because I have something else I want to surprise you with. Barbara talks about the Seven of Wands. You know, the warrior card, the stand up for yourself card, the able to fight off everything that's coming at you. You're at a place of advantageousness where you can outdo, you're not outnumbered. It's just a matter of perception. Hold your stance, stand your ground. So Barbara Moore talks about the Seven of Wands being the drama. And she says, in most decks, this card is static, and I wish I had her steampunk deck to make a comparison. But you can pull up any Seven of Wands card and make a comparison to this. And she says, Eugene gave this image liveliness and a sense of potential danger that I think it should have, especially since its message calls us to step up and take action, something that is not always easy or safe to do. This is probably why this is one of my favorite cards, and it speaks to me as an advocate. It says here that during the trial of the Knave of Hearts, Alice is ordered to leave the courtroom because, according to Rule 42, newly penned by the king, all persons more than a mile high have to leave the court. And Alice stands up for herself, claiming she is not a mile high. A short time later, she proclaims, "Stuff and nonsense, the idea of having the sentences first, when the queen insists that sentences come before verdicts." The queen orders Alice to be beheaded, and for the first time when ordered so, nobody moves. "Who cares for you?" said Alice. She had grown by her full size this time. "You are nothing but a pack of cards." At this time, the whole pack rose up in the air and comes flying down around her, and she tried to beat them off. Alice was not afraid because she was filled with the strength of her convictions. She knew she was right and wasn't going to be cowed by a ruthless queen and an ineffectual king. Once she realized her own power, she was able to face those who became her enemies. In the text, this is when she wakes up from her dream. If, as many believe, the story is about growing up, Alice has reached a stage of maturity where she knows right from wrong, and she knows that she must defend her values. So, that was a brief introduction to this new wonderful deck. Again, I'll show you the box. And as I said, you can go to Jennifer Ball of Jennifer Ball Spiritual Garage, and my girl Llewellyn, the Thrifty Witch. They do a full walkthrough of each card. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little bit special. So, for those of you who have watched this brief walkthrough, and if you're following me on Instagram, you've seen that I've left a few of my favorite quotes from Alice in Wonderland. Is my hat coming off? Okay, we'll take that off for now. So, if you'd like, what I'm going to do, next Wednesday, I'd like to do a drawing of, I have the Wonderland Tarot deck. That will be part of the drawing, along with perhaps some Alice note cards, as well as a pouch, one of these, or one of these, and a tote bag. Yes, you know, I'm counting down to my birthday celebration, so what a way to celebrate. But here's what you have to do. Leave in a comment below one of your favorite quotes from Alice in Wonderland, but you cannot use one that I have already used. That's the clincher. So go to Instagram. My name is the same as my YouTube channel, Oya's Girl, and you see which quotes I've already used. You cannot use any of those. Put your quote in the comments below, and I'll put everything in a hat, and then I'll do a drawing next Wednesday. So I want you to keep in mind, no matter what's going on in your life, remember, we are all mad here. Stay blessed. See you next time.